It's, it's getting better.
Go ahead, Dr. Afo.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah,
Abaka, can you speak? Can you hear me, Abaka?
I can hear you.
Yeah, because his network was better, but I can't hear him again. But I know you can hear. Okay, so let me go ahead. So you want to be able to avoid double counting. In fact, the reason why they remove M from your GDP is because of double counting. Abi? Aha. So you have to. So when you say all, you can either don't disturb yourself and focus on the GDP or GMP, whatever it is, because that already contains exports and imports. Whatever people import and export, that component is already in our trade, which is in our wholesale and retail. So that is why I said we have to be careful about that. So that's my first point. My first point, if I can reiterate, is that we won't just say all, we will rather say international trade or domestic trade. If you want to do both, you should know how to net out one from the other. Otherwise, there will be double counting. I hope that my extension is clear. Okay, so that is one. Number two has to do with digital trade, because as we are speaking, I was also trying to see the paper by OECD and the rest. So my question is, how what's it called? How digital trade, can it actually be measured by all these our simple, how many people have access to internet, how many broadband penetration, all those little things that measure many things that are not very specific. If I want to do an undergraduate work, yes, maybe, but if I want to do a PhD work, I probably want to do something more interesting, right? So variables like broadband penetration. I'm not phone subscribers, internet subscriber, broadband penetration, internet user. What other one is there? Eh? What do you say? Eh? I can't hear. Well, can you hear him? I can't hear him. I can't hear you. Your network was good before this thing went off. Can you hear me now? It's getting better. I said I didn't hear those. Huh? I didn't hear the first part of your statement. But can you hear him? Maybe I can't. I don't know. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Dr. Afo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You are. What is it that you didn't hear me before, or you were muted or something?
I was muted. I was talking. I thought that I never knew I was muted.
Okay, so your voice is clear, but his own, I can't hear him. I just want him to.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? There was something you did before. Maybe you remove your earpiece or something, move close to your phone. There was something you did before. You are there. You are too distant from the phone. Huh? My phone is close to my phone. This doesn't sound like network. It sounds like maybe you are using earpiece or you are on speaker or something.
I'm not on speaker. I think it's just the network. Can you hear me now?
It's getting better. There was something you did before, and it was like this before. You did something, and we could hear you clearly. Maybe it's network.
But I can hear you very well.
Okay, so I just mentioned some variables that people use to measure the development in ICT sector. Okay, in addition, they can look for the contribution to GDP of information and clinical number of internet users, internet subscribers, and the broadband penetration and telephone subscribers. Is there any other variable that you have here on Nigeria or ICT? I'm not sure if there is. Hello?
You're right.
Huh?
You're right.
You said, but I didn't hear what you said.
Because the picture in Nigeria is very difficult to get, if not totally.
I mean, we don't.
Maybe join again.
I think the network is even that slow. Yeah, I somehow giving problem.
And it's not in Ibadan or Lekki Aja.
You're comparing Ibadan with it's like mentioning Ajegunle when we are in Asokoro.
No, that side that you are in is not different from Agbo. I think it's back. Agbaka.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, you were saying something. Can I hear what you said?
Oh, you asked, you were asking mention some data and you asked me another additional data apart from assignment once you mentioned. And I said I download, I think there is.
Hello.
Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
It's clear now. Okay, so what did you say last?
I said you were asking me when you mentioned some variables that if there are additional ones in Nigeria aside those you mentioned. I said I doubt if there is. Did you get me?
No, say it again, please.
Okay, I say it's like you are asking me if after you mentioned some variables like broadband penetration, number of people with internet access, and others, and you ask me if there are additional ones aside those you mentioned. So I said I doubt if there is.
Okay, great. So we're on the same page. So that means you just, those ones, people have used them to capture ICT. So
Yeah.
IT, ICT, digital economy, all those kind of things. So, but they are not themselves digital trade. Do you agree with me?
Sorry, sir, you say what? They are not.
They are not digital trade themselves. They are just indicators of level of IT penetration or
Yes,
adoption in a
yes. Some of
company.
them are just like enablers of digital trade, not digital trading stuff. Right? Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Oh. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I think his network is off and on. Just to reiterate some of the things we are talking about, which I think you already gotten the point, is that the measures that you are thinking about are not really a digital trade, right? And if you even talk about digital trade itself, because it's a PhD thesis, why did you consider, are you considering trade, domestic trade, external? Because that is also very important. And to also avoid double counting also, you need to know that external trade indirectly captures domestic trade, because for the 6 sectors of Nigeria, there is trade, which is more of domestic trade than the external one. So the point is that if it is digital trade that you are interested in, right, using those what we call technology infrastructure variables that literature now use to capture it might not really be a proper proxy or measure of digital trade, which you must take note, because that is so important and critical for you to consider going forward with the thesis. For me, if you are using any of those ones to capture it or to develop an index, what you are doing is more like technological infrastructure than digital trade. So that is very important. That's why I was asking the question about operationalization of the concept, because the concept has to be operationalized, which is that it's a concept, but this is actually what you mean. That's why I'm using this variable to capture it, and that measurement can fit in with the operation that you have used to define it. And that is very, very, very important. In the current form, I think probably you need to do, I don't know, I don't want to say what you tend or what you are doing now does not really align with the title itself in terms of measuring digital trade. For economic performance, I don't think you have any problem. Any of the variables can be used to capture economic performance. But in terms of digital trade, we need to situate the measurement itself. And you and I know that as of today, it will be difficult for you to separate current trade, current trade that is either import, export of goods and services, and then net out digital trade out of it. It will be extremely difficult, except the framework you are now talking about gives some idea about how you can net out in terms of order and delivery, and then what we call platform that facilitate that. So those are some of the things that you need to think going forward in terms of what you are doing, so that if you think that your index is not going to be available data or variable cannot capture that index properly, you can still come back to review your work to focus on technology infrastructure, which also have serious implication for economic performance. Because today, we're in the industrial revolution, whether we like it or not, and technology is so important and giving us a way of unraveling something around technology infrastructure. If some people have used some selected variables and you want to generate something to capture it properly, then that if the literature supports that, if the gap is there in literature, well, yes, I would say that is something that is very important. In a growth model, which part of economic performance? Technology come in as one of the it come in as the efficiency variable, because one of the effect of technology, or one of the channel through which technology go into production function is in a Douglas end of production function. That A is where technology goes in from the A, because that's efficiency. And it goes in there because technology itself facilitates, other factors of production to do what they should do better. So technology is I think I've seen my Q model around how technology come into a production function. And because technology is, because when you talk about growth is accumulation of factors of production and productivity of this factor. And technology is one of the drivers of productivity. That's the channel through which technology come into production function. So if you want to look at it from just technology perspective, which is fine. But if you say digital trade, then you'll be constrained at capturing digital trade itself. And that is something to think about going forward. That's what I can say for now. I don't know whether you want to say something.
Yes, I appreciate your observations or the information you just gave, and I'm very okay with it, because I observe what you said is well okay with, based on what the information I supplied to you. So I'll sit down now and think, based on the two areas you identify, maybe either to go with digital threat and look at the actual aspect of that from the international perspective, international threat perspective, or maybe I will look at technology infrastructure as my
that's what you can going forward.
Depending variable.
Yeah. So let me also add something to it. I was trying to look for 30 years ago. I supervised a student that did something on technology infrastructure. I was trying to look for the work. I couldn't have access to the work. Because I'm trying to remember that one of the variables he tried to use was there was a measure for already there is an index for technology that has been constructed by World Bank or something that the guy used. So I remember that time. What happened was that because the data for technology is also that short, I advised that it should. In fact, that data is available for that 3 or 4 years currently, and they just started generating that index. I'm trying to remember that. I can't have access to that work now because the guy has done and submitted. So I'm trying to see whether I tried to check my system. I couldn't see it. They generated that index for like 3 or 4 years, which is technology, which is a representation of technology itself, right? So So, or else so my point is that sometimes when you do all this technology infrastructure thing, because the data is also not that long, one of the advice is also not to do it for just a country, because you run into data, what we call a degree of freedom problem, because your data will be too your data will be too short to the variables in your model. You understand? So one of the advice is that I think go back, read, go through, check the data, check the literature, and then if it's digital trade that is possible, is it international, is it domestic? Is the data available? If it's not available, what do you do? That is something to think about. Discuss with your supervisors to say these are the issues around trade. I mean, digital infrastructure. I mean, digital trade. This is the meaning. This is the framework, but the data is not available to capture it. That's one. The second thing also is that you are thinking more, because most people look at it from technological infrastructure, which they are using to capture it, and they are using one or two variables. But I think there are better ways from literature. You think you can capture it in a robust way. So in thinking about that with him, and you want to shift to more of technology infrastructure, and it's also possible that you use technology infrastructure to capture it. If previous studies have done it and they are good studies, right? You can stick with those ones to use as a proxy, if in the absence of none. But capturing it properly will also be something that will be so important for you to think about as a PhD thesis, so that instead of troubling yourself with just a proxy that might not really be a good representation, let me come to this aspect of which is more technology infrastructure, and then look at literature to find the gap, and then say, okay, that's a robust way I can capture it as your contribution, and then use that. But like I said, there are index I think that have been developed already. I'm trying to remember what it is, but it's not long. But if you want to even do it without developing index and you want to use the available ones, the data is also still not that long. So running a model with those kind of data when it is time series will definitely run into some issues. I already foresee that currently in my mind as somebody that deals with econometrics. So instead of that, why don't you consider doing it for a group of countries instead of a country? Just one country also is something that you can think through. But I think engage the literature, engage the data, engage all that is available, and then think about what you think is best for you without something that will not also delay you. And in the course of doing that, and you have gone through and you've been able to unravel a lot of things, and you still want to come back and speak to us, I think that is fine. I know my friend deals with data very well, very, very well. That is what he has a company on data. So that's why I even invited him for us to be able to discuss more. But I think his network and other engagement in the office is disturbing him. But like I said,
I think I know his company. I used to go to. I know some of his stuff.
Yeah, ADSR.
The analyst, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you get that clarity, we can now take it off from there. We can fix another meeting and then talk more of the issues more and more.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I will just do what you said. I will look at, because my supervisor is an international trade. He specializes in international trade.
Okay.
So maybe I will look at if it is possible. Maybe it will be more. He will like it for. He would like for me. I would like me to maybe to concentrate or to focus on the international digital trade than maybe technology infrastructure. But I'll look at the possibilities of the two.
Okay.
And which one would be, as we say, which one that, because the whole thing, honestly, this digital trade measurement is one delaying my work.
Yeah, I
understand. But I get, sometimes I used to get confused on the whole measurement of around the digital trade. So, but now I think what your advice is very important. So I will look at it critically again and see.
Because if you talk about domestic trade, there are only two things: retail and wholesale. External trade will be. I said if you talk about domestic trade, that is retail and export. I mean retail and wholesale. But when you talk about international trade, you are talking about import and export. Goods are also there, services are also there, and I think technology will fall in more. Digital will fall in more on services. You know, there are. You know, you can also look at. I've also seen work that are trying to look at digital economy in terms of digital infrastructure. The same digital but they are using digital infrastructure to capture it on economic performance, because the whole gamut of digital decisions or what we do at the digital front has a role to play. So, like I said, just look at the decision very well. If you think that digital infrastructure cannot capture that trade aspect, it's possible that if you read around all that you are going through, there are ways in which they can also, for instance, you can see a proxy or something that has to do with, say, Nigeria export or Africa export, a percentage of it that is more of digitally ordered or delivered is of so percentage. So if you take our export total, you can begin to net it out. If you know the fraction, if somewhere in some document they will mention some fraction representation of our digital trade with a fraction, it might not be long data, but that fraction is something that you can use to now think through to net out digital trade from the total trade in terms of export and import. That's also another way to go about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome, Abubakar. So anytime you feel like you've gone ahead and then you need more clarification for the issues, no problem. Just feel free to reach out and then we'll fix another meeting for us to talk.
No problem. I highly appreciate it, and I also thank you for even giving me another.
And as you go, if you check your OECD paper.
I'm not hearing you.
I didn't hear you, Dr. Afo.
There are ways in which there are the preference as we said, TB paper. There's a bit of a preference for international trade because in that one you can come for wheat and you can have different types of trade in goods and services among countries. There's some of them, they've identified them as digitally enabled, digitally delivered, digitally ordered or something. If you can.
Sir, can you repeat what you are, the network is breaking.
That would be something. So we want need.
Sir, can you say it again?
OECD. Right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your network was wavering before. You can repeat it.
The network, his network is bad.
His network is going off and on. Dr. Afo, I think it's his network.
We can close this so that we don't.
Hello?
I think it's his network.
Okay, because he was trying to give a very important information that.
Yeah.
I can
actually I even yeah? I even have a plan of contacting one of his staff.
Your last point on the OECD digitally enabled that you are talking about is we're not hearing you very well. Go ahead.
Huh? You say what?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, I just told him that even if you check the OECD, you will find out that there's a kind of a preference for international trade. Why? Okay. Because it is easier because of the HS classification. They will always break things down. So in some of their papers, they've shown classifications that can fall under digital enabled, digital delivered, digital order. They've put them there. So that way, I'm sure it's not going to be difficult to, because if you come to the domestic GDP, you will not be able to know. Agriculture is not broken that. You can't say crop, what's it called? Crop production. You won't be able to know the digital enabled, digital this, because those are production. Except you move to services alone. And when you move to services, real estate, for instance, it will be difficult for you to distinguish between which one is digital because of the classification they are. GDP in Nigeria stops level 4 or level 3.
Okay. The network again.
So you cannot see GDP in some other countries where you can see every 120. Then you can within not. But when someone just say agriculture, crop production, you won't know whether it's digital or not digital. Except they break it down further, and you won't have that data. If you do international trade, you will see data broken down to level 6. So you will be able to see things that are far, far broken down, right? That you can see, oh, okay, because I'm looking at level 6. If you look at computer and equipment, you can see printing, copying, machine, blah, blah. You can see cash register. You can see so many broken down to level 6. So some of them, these guys would have identified them as digitally enabled, digitally delivered, digitally requested, or digitally ordered. Then it's then possible for you to aggregate them and then see how import or export or net export in them affects GDP growth. So my advice is start looking at it from the international side. It will be easier for you because data is more available at export and import than domestic GDP.
Okay.
That's one. Two, when you put your topic as on economy performance, I believe you mean GDP growth rate, or what do you mean? You probably mean growth because economic performance can be anything, right?
But as I told Prof, I want to use two things there. I want to use total factor productivity and the green total factor productivity, and also I want to use low carbon inclusive growth. For total factor productivity, I want to look at both the aggregate and the sectoral level, sectoral analysis.
So why will your topic not reflect that? You want to see whether digital trade affects total factor productivity? Is that what you are interested in?
Yes, and also, yeah, both at the sectoral and aggregate and national level. Both at sectoral level and aggregate and
leave sectoral level issue. Yeah, that's not. Those are just estimation issue. You can, if your work is digital trade and total factor productivity, say so.
No, okay. That's why I put it as it's just part of. That's why I put economic performance in there, because I want to. It's just my specific objectives are total digital trade and total factor productivity, digital trade and inclusive economic growth.
Sorry, because of our time, we are spending a lot of time trying to talk about
what is inclusive economic growth there. If your work is digital trade and total factor productivity, you say so, right?
In the first place, in the gamut of GDP, trade, digital trade will be more productivity oriented than any other thing. So why looking at the sectoral issue?
So why inclusive growth? Even sectoral issue is even another one. But what is inclusive growth here? Just states, digital trade and total factor productivity. If that is your work, or digital trade and inclusive growth, if that's what you want to do. Because there are theories about factor inclusion and welfare result of trade. They are different from productivity and trade issue. So think about it. Thank you.
I didn't get you, sir. The last network was breaking. Sorry.
But if you got me, try to explain.
No. The point is that you should think about it in terms of because your concept of economic performance, where you are now using, you want to look at sectoral, you want to look at inclusive, you want to look at total factor productivity. It's like trying to do several estimation. How relevant is that? So what you are doing? For me, the concept of digital, which technology is more of a productivity issue than any of those things. So if you are interested in digital trade on inclusive growth or digital trade on just factor productivity, that should be fine. No need to go to the different sectorial this thing that you are interested in. Right?
Okay, I just see it as it to be, because many studies has looked at it at aggregate level. So I want to maybe use sectoral level maybe to be part of maybe to be part to be a kind of contributions to my study.
No, the effect will not be different if digital trade has the truth is that the effect can differ across. In fact, in some other of the sectors, it might not even be relevant. Right? For instance, how many of those sectors do we order goods from in Nigeria that people buy from anywhere in the world? You understand that we can now say digitally they will order them and then take them out. It's you hardly see those kind of sectors, right? So why do you want to do it at all sectors? Why don't you focus if it's inclusive growth or if it's a factor productivity? I think I'll prefer the concept of factor productivity than even the inclusive growth. The factor productivity is more, to me, is more. Because digital is technology, and technology has a way of spurring productivity. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But it's left for you to read and then decide finally what is fine. But I think you have been able to get a lot of ideas about our discussion that will open your mind to so many things you can think around. And finally,
honestly,
yeah,
yes, sir, yes.
But the truth is that our focus is not to impose something on any PhD candidate because they are the one doing the work, and they also have a supervisor and a university, but to help them see the different areas for them to think about, give them suggestions and all of that, so that when they go back, they will understand their reading and then take final decision. And
honestly, I understand. Yeah, honestly,
for clarity, when they have gotten that, when they go back and read, they can still then come back.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Abubakar.
I should be done thanking you, sir. Thank you, Amy, so much. I really appreciate, and I'll go and look at the observations and the advice or suggestions that you gave me. And God willing, maybe in the next 2 weeks or a month, I'll try and get back to you and tell you progress I have made.
I'll check because it's streamed on YouTube. If it's clear, I will share it with you. You know, I'm recording this streamed on YouTube also.
Okay.
If it's
sir.
If it's clear, I will share it with you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, sir.
So that you can listen to it. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. Dr. Full time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Network problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.